Welcome to Entertainment Now on Spectrum Television. I hope you're having a nice day. It's a Thursday, it's Throwback Thursday. We get to throw back to amazing memories that we shared as children, as adolescents, and even as young adults. I don't know which category you are right now, but there's always something to remember at every stage of your life. And I hope that for today, you are dwelling on only those that bring you so much smile on your face and happiness. My name is Vera Philip, and I am your host for Entertainment Now this afternoon. It's going to be a beautiful session because some of the entertainment stories that you probably missed out on is what I'm here to give you the gist about. Now we're going to start off with Thames, who has bought a crochet of herself for 3 million naira. That is huge. So there's this young lady, young content creator on social media, on X precisely, Obum Ifeoluwa, who made a crochet of Thames and then put it out on social media, hoping that Thames was going to see it or Thames will see it. Fortunately for her, Thames saw it. And after she saw it, she was like, oh my goodness, I really love this. How much are you selling it for? As she said she was going to buy it from her. And the next thing we are seeing the credit a lot of 3 million naira from Tem for this crochet. It's actually really beautiful, honestly. And I mean, reward for hard work. Reward for hard work. This is also nice to see Tem support the small business in this magnificent manner. We definitely love the crochet as well. And yes, it's just nice to see that Thames, is on X doing the positive things. She's always been on X for the wrong reasons. Like she's been dragged so many times on X for the wrong reasons. But seeing her having to trend today for being this nice to someone who she could have probably decided to just, walk past and not say anything to, but she discovered this lady and decided to appreciate her effort with a whooping 3 million naira. Anyways, to Ifeolu, why you sure not going to share this money with the rest of us? I mean, we pushed it. But yeah, that's good. That's really beautiful to see this afternoon. Moving forward on some of our stories today, we are taking a look also at Terry G, who has reintroduced himself. And Terry G made a post as well on X introducing himself and talking about how his career never died, but his career took another turn. Jesus is what he calls himself, and he says that it doesn't mean Jesus Christ. However, it does reflect the Jesus boy that he has become. He says it's the beginning of a new era and that it is not something that has killed his career. His name change did not in any way kill his career. He's coming back bigger and better. I feel like since today is a Thursday and we're throwing it back, Terry G is one of the artists that gave us the Afrobeat of the time. Yeah, we definitely dance. It was crazy because it's always the ringing of bells and lots of things in his music. However, we really had a good time dancing to his songs. And I remember back in secondary school, we had to do so many choreography with his songs. Yes, so it's amazing to see, that the people like this still have legacy that we can look back at and be like, yeah, they really did something. They were, they made some effort. They gave all that they could at the time. Whether he comes back into the spotlight as an artist or not, I feel like Terry G has given his part. And sometimes you need to make the way for other people as well. His time, happened, and maybe not his time any longer. But if it still ends up being his time afterwards, then good for him, fine and well. We'll be here to enjoy more of Terry G. And now that he has given his life to Christ, can we have a different tune to his song? I'm just adding that for emphasis, like let's have a different tune to what we've constantly been hearing from Terry G back in the day. Away from Terry G, there's so many other stories that we have for you today. One of them is also justice being finally served for the youth corper by name Salome Abaidu. Salome Adaidu, yes. This young lady's head was found in a sack bag that was carried by a gospel singer that is called Timileyin Ajayi. This was in January of 2025. This young man was seen with a head of the girl by the side, of course, his girlfriend Salome. It was reported by security officials that on the said day, the gospel singer, who is also a fitness enthusiast and he's a content creator, he does motivations to his followers on social media. He was caught with a sack containing the head of Salome near a church in Orozo, a border between Nasarawa and Abuja. After his arrest, he did lead the police to the remaining parts of Salome's body, which had been chopped up into small bits. He was detained and charged with one count of culpable homicide. This is an offense that is contrary to Section 221 of the Penal Code of Northern Nigeria and is punishable by death. So, as court proceedings began, Timileyin Ajayi put up a religious act in court. He had acted like he was praying. I don't know what he put it an act, however, but it was seen in court praying and singing, before his case started. And this gave the mindset that what could happen wrong with him. Are you a Christian? I mean, he actually is a gospel singer. So are you a Christian? But yet, you did this kind of thing, this wickedness, this level of wickedness to this young lady. However, Ajayi was sentenced to death by hanging as of today. So we do not know when that implementation will come in, but the court has actually sentenced him to death by hanging in Lafayette, Nasarawa State. And a lot of people have commented to this, and it's the judicial system in this particular case has been very fast. I mean, this happened in January of 2025, and in June, literally 6 months after, we are having justice, for Salome. The judicial system needs to, follow in these footsteps because these are issues. These are the issues. The fact that people have to go through court cases for so long and so long for so many years without a verdict being given, it also traumatizes the family. Now, having to see that justice has been served in the span of 6 months, that means it's doable in Nigeria. We can actually do that in Nigeria. So why are we not implementing that as much as we can? At the end of the day, we just want to say that, now the family can be at rest, knowing fully well that justice has taken its course for their daughter. And for Timileyin, at the end of the day, he's gotten what he deserved out of his actions. This is also a call to Nigerians, to young people, because we have no idea what exactly he was using this head for. The most common reason, or the most relatable reason, the most reason that we would look at would be maybe for some sort of ritual. Because what are you going to be doing with someone's head is different if you kill someone, but then taking out their head and taking it somewhere. And from the police officers who caught him on that day, there were also reports that he had bribed to give them 100 million naira if they let him go. So obviously there was something bigger than just the head than just the head of this girl that he was with. But now he has met his end, and he's going to be spending, the rest of his life in jail and probably even die at some point via hanging. Away from that, we move on to another story here, and this one is about businessman Simon Bobadie and his wife, or ex-wife right now, Portia Williams. Now, this is also one that actually caught the attention of a lot of people, seeing how flamboyant their wedding was in 2022. The ex-wife Portia Williams had made comments, saying that she's relieved about the divorce and that she's happy that this divorce has taken place and that it has finally been finalized. It actually the ruling favored her, as she had was rewarded with some financial benefits um, out of this marriage. She also filed for divorce because she felt like she was beginning to see or discover some shady moves in his finances and his U.S. immigration. At the moment, Simon Bobadia has been shipped, or should I say, he has been moved to Nigeria, and he's currently in Nigeria as he's still going through the investigations. He was on page 6, and he was in an exclusive chat where he was asked if he regrets marrying the ex-wife Portia Williams, and he said that he really does regret marrying her because he felt like he was blindsided the entire time. Let's take a listen to what he had to say.
Issues with me before filing for divorce. If you're married, I've been married quite a bit. I think I understand a little bit about the dynamics of. I should understand a little bit about the dynamics of relationship. You discuss issues and say, "Hey, If this does not change or something does not happen, this is what might come of it.
Mhm.
We never had those discussions, and I'm happy to share with you text messages where I was essentially blindsided by the divorce fight.
I was actually going to ask you if this was something that you saw coming, if conversations had been had prior. What do you think what do you think Portia's reason was to file for divorce?
I think I was targeted.
In what way?
Uh, I was targeted from day one for financial reasons. When I filed for divorce from my previous, ex-wife, she was in my DM praying for me, and I think I was in a vulnerable position at that time.
Okay, so Simon had just divorced his first wife before getting into a relationship, and just as he mentioned, in 30 days he was already married to Portia Williams. They were doing a flamboyant wedding in 2022, and after a few months, she did file for a divorce. And the funny thing about this is the very fact that having breaking his silence now, he talks about how he was targeted financially. Now, I don't know how men feel like every situation, every divorce, every woman who comes into their life targets them financially, especially because he's a mature adult who has already been divorced before. Couldn't you have taken some sort of notes on if the person in question came into your life for financial gains from you? He also mentioned that he feels he was targeted from day one. It was her aim to come into the house and come into his life and take his money. He also mentioned that when she started to file for divorce, he tried reaching out to her family members, but nobody was responding to him. He mentioned a few other things about how there was no reason. You know how married people will have issues, and then they'll say, one person will say, if this continues to happen, I can't take it any longer, I'm going to file for divorce. And none of that happened. So there is no prior event to why she actually decided to file for divorce. She just decided that one day, I'm done, I'm not doing it again, and she decided to file for divorce. And all of this is what made him blindsided. Like, he totally had no idea what was going on, or the plans that Portia Williams had towards him. It's sad actually to see this. However, I don't know if I should say that it's best that the marriage has come to an end, and moving forward, maybe he should be more particular. I mean, when you feel like a certain woman came into your life for financial reasons, allegedly, of course, from his mouth, you will try to be more careful when getting into another relationship or getting into something else that is serious, that you want to actually lead to marriage. He also said by himself that who does that, gets married to someone after 30 days? That's exactly what happened there. So I do not think anyone, not even Portia Williams, is to be blamed for what has happened between their marriage, but the both of them, that's Simon and Portia, should be blamed for what has happened in their marriage. Away from that, and still keeping up with marriages, crashes, and lawsuits, we have Didi, whose case is slowly coming to an end in court. However, the federal prosecutors have dropped certain allegations against him in the ongoing trial. They've dropped attempted kidnapping, attempted arson, and are aiding and abetting sex trafficking. So the development is coming just a day before closing arguments. Closing arguments is in no time, and it was reviewed in a letter that the judge had read. Prosecutors said that the decision was made in line with the judge's directive to streamline the jury instructions. While Didi still faces multiple sex trafficking charges, of course, the government appears to have struggled to substantiate claims involving alleged kidnapping of former employee Capricorn Clark, who was reportedly taken to a building and subjected to a lie detector test over missing jewelry and singer Cassia. She actually did mention it during the her testimony. However, I feel like the government have not been able to prove this, and therefore removing it from the allegation. In addition, the prosecution is no longer pursuing the attempted arson allegation that Didi orchestrated the explosion of rapper Kid Cudi's car in a fit of jealousy. And that's because Kid Cudi was in court and testified that he has no idea if that was Didi. Coincidentally, it was when Didi had met him, and they had Cassie had come to him and said Didi had known about them. That was when it happened. However, he doesn't have any evidence whatsoever to back up that Didi was the one who set his car ablaze. So these allegations were all part of the broader racketeering case against the music mogul. Though prosecutors are not abandoning the sex trafficking charges entirely, they have chosen to remove some elements, including aiding and abetting. They did not specify which aspects of the sex trafficking count will be excluded from jury consideration. In this same letter, prosecutors requested that the jurors be instructed that prior consent to sexual acts does not mean that consent cannot later be withdrawn. And this is just because I said yes, we can kiss, does not actually mean that you should move from kissing to other things. Do you understand? We can't move from kissing to touching. It doesn't happen that way. So the consent that can be given prior to sexual act is not the same as the consent rather that can be withdrawn while the act is going forward. They also emphasize that compensation does not rule out the possibility of forced labor. Remember that Diddy had also compensated Cassie after this entire situation, a key component of sex trafficking laws. Furthermore, the government asks that jurors be made aware that cohesion in sex trafficking does not require a physical restraint or commercial sex act to be proven. Now, this there's going to be a ruling in no time. Case has officially is officially coming to a close. There's closing but we're going to know the fate of Didi in this trial. I mean, wish him all the best, honestly. I mean, he's a father and obviously, maybe a good father to his children. So we really do wish him all the best. And that's all the stories that we can bring to you this afternoon. Thank you so very much for being a part of Entertainment Noun. And we will be back next week for another beautiful edition. But until then, have an amazing rest of your day. And remember, it's Throwback Thursday. So throwback to amazing memories, childhood, adolescence, young adults, whatever part of your life that has been the most interesting so far. Throw back to that experience and put a smile on your face. My name is Vera Phillip. Bye for now. Reach my phone mic.